But just being aware that communication is important in a successful marriage does not guarantee great communication in your marriage. It requires effort, it requires hard work. Hello, welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing fantastic. On my part, I'm doing amazing. And in case you're new, my name is Charity Mugeni and I make videos on faith, family, and self-improvement. So if you enjoy this kind of content or this kind of videos, please subscribe and join the family. And please never forget to give this video a thumbs up or a like. That is just an awesome way of supporting what I do. Being a married woman, I understand how communication as a subject is very important in building successful and fulfilling marriages. Without it, marriages will certainly crumble. That's why so many psychologists, counselors, so many authors have written books about this subject, just addressing communication in marriages. But just being aware that communication is important in a successful marriage does not guarantee great communication in your marriage. It requires effort, it requires hard work, it requires sacrifices, it requires practice just to be able to get there. Because it is more of about becoming, about the people you are becoming, you as a husband, as a wife, because it is a process. There is no particular day that you are going to get there and say, now our communication is perfect. So meaning that it's something that you have to work on a daily basis. Just keeping yourself in check, consciously making your choices about communication to ensure successful communication pattern or communication circle within your marriage. So I'm going to take you through some of those things that you need to stop or avoid if you're really serious about improving communication in your marriage. There is nothing new here. All these things that I'm talking about, they are things that we are all aware of. However, we are just never conscious enough to apply them into our marriages. Or probably we just refuse to take into practice or to make an effort or to put in hard work so that we can become better at communication in our marriages. So these are some of these things that I have learned on my journey in my marriage, that if you just stopped them, then your communication in marriage would really improve. The first thing you need to stop is making assumption. This is what Dr. Carol Dweck refers to as mind reading. Most of us as couples or as husbands and wives, sometimes we just take things out of proportion. We assume that we know what other partners' actions mean, even without trying to really find out what they really mean. For example, when your husband travels and he gets to where he's going but he never calls back and you expected him to call back. So instead of you just assuming that he doesn't care, you better try to find out why he never called back. Maybe the phone went out of charge or something happened. Instead of just making an assumption, then you put there a judgment and then it already affects your emotions. So by the time he comes back, you are already angry. You made a judgment, you made an interpretation, and that's it. And you are not thinking about any other ways. So misinterpretation of actions without seeking clarity can actually impact negatively on our communication. The second thing is silent treatment. This is usually one person, either a husband or a wife, just making a conscious decision to stop talking. You don't talk to each other. So when that happens, what are you doing? You cannot solve anything by just shutting down and keeping quiet. Because how are you going to resolve the conflict that you have if you are not going to communicate? So silent treatment does you no good. So if there is a conflict or a problem, the best way is to look for strategies, means, and ways to communicate with clarity, iron out issues, and help yourself get beyond that so that you can keep moving. Otherwise, it will make you stuck, and that will negatively impact the quality of your marriage. Lastly, it is general talk that is not emotionally satisfying. This means that in your marriage, you are talking, yes, but you are talking on general issues. You are not addressing issues that affect you as a couple. So those important issues, you just bury them under the sand. You bury them under the sand. You keep pretending that there is nothing wrong, there is nothing to address. You just keep avoiding those important issues that can actually bring you together. You know, in most cases, I have come to realize that even when there is a conflict, actually, when you solve it, it brings you much closer together compared to when you are not addressing it. So when you're just generally talking about non-issues, you're talking about how the economy is going, all these other stories, news on the television, what is going on, but you're not talking about anything concerning your issues in marriage, then that one does not really help much. So it is okay to talk about what is going on in the world, global news or national news, or general issues about families at large, but you should always also have that time for the two of you to really communicate and talk about issues that can be emotionally satisfying to each one of you, like you are dealing with things that you need to deal with.